Friends to Tales of Gen X Terror, where we unpack the apocalyptic dread underneath the skin of late Cold War pop culture. My name's Neil, and I'm fighting evil by moonlight. Today we've got another nuclear zeitgeisty comic book, and that is the adaptation of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. The comic was adapted from the story by Christopher Reeve, Lawrence Connor, and Mark Rosenthal, and the screenplay by Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal. The comic was written by Bob Rozakis with art by Kurt Swan, Don Heck, Frank McLaughlin, Al Vey, John Beatty, Dick Giordano, and a whole cast of others. I gotta say, there's a lot going on in this comic. I feel like a little bit intimidated by covering it, just because there's so many different parts to I'm just gonna lose the thread. It starts with Superman saving some cosmonauts from a little accident in outer space. Then Superman, in his Clark Kent form, goes to Smallville and finds in his parents' old barn, he finds an energy module that was left in the ship that brought him to Earth, and that has the ability to give him messages from Krypton. It's kind of nutty. We get to a scene with Lex Luthor on a penitentiary work crew. Car drives up. It's pretty garish. It's yellow and orange, or yellow and red. The guards come up to the driver of the car. Want to experience it fully? Come on, climb in. Hot dog. Enjoy the ride, boys. Hey, what's going on? Let us out of here. How'd I do, Uncle Lex? Lenny, I've always thought of you as the Dutch elm disease of my family tree, but this time you did just fine. Now pop open the car doors before it goes over the ledge. Aw, Uncle Lex, always ruining the fun. A nephew character for Lex Luthor, and he's kind of homicidal. We've got more characters when we cut over to the Daily Planet. There's a new tycoon who owns a bunch of sleazy tabloids and also the Daily Planet. Mr. Warfield, the people of this city rely on the planet. For what? Why, putting it in Kitty's litter box? The Daily Planet hasn't made a dime in 3 years, and the name of this game is making money. Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter, Lacey Warfield. I'm here to help you, Mr. White. I've designed a new layout for the planet. As long as I'm editor here, we'll stick with the old one. Then we've got a scene where the president makes a televised announcement. And because the summit has failed, we have no choice but to move ahead with our arms buildup. Restrip page 1. Bombs away, says Prez. You're kidding, right? I never kid, White. This'll sell paper. We cannot afford to be second in the nuclear arms race. That cuts to a teacher who is showing her classroom this televised event. One of the students in the class makes a wish. Jeremy, I'd like to write to Superman. He could collect all the bombs and get rid of them. Why write? Call him at home. Yeah, maybe your mom can invite him for dinner too. I'll show those guys. Dear Superman, This is definitely the days before social media, so just writing a letter's the way to get to your superhero. Lex Luthor and his nephew steal a little bit of Superman's hair from the Metropolis Museum, and we're just going to go cut past a couple scenes and go straight back to JFK High in Nebraska. Superman flies in to make a personal appearance at this high school. I wanted to answer Jeremy's letter personally. I wanted to tell you that what you ask is impossible. I've made a vow not to interfere with the destiny of your planet. I'll pass this letter on to the leaders of the world. It is they who represent the planet of Earth. Got any more bright ideas, Jeremy? Yeah, want to try Santa Claus next? I don't understand. I'm sorry. Let's go to Luthor's lair. He's just out of prison, but he does have a lair. What happens here is that Lex Luthor is able to make a clone-ish creature from Superman's hair. He sends this creature out into the city. That devolves into a fight, and Superman sends the creature flying into some electrical wires, and then kazats, it goes away. The takeaway from this is that nuclear power, Lex Luthor thinks that nuclear power will be the thing that actually makes the creature that he clones more powerful than Superman. At this point, the world has learned that Superman has definitely said no to Jeremy's request to get rid of all of the nukes, and that is Mr. Warfield taking advantage of that. Soups to kid, drop dead! And Superman's torn by this, so he goes to the Fortress of Solitude and talks to that module that he found earlier, and he gets this advice. The Earth is too primitive. You can flee to a world where war has been long forgotten. If you teach these people to put their faith in one man, even yourself, you are teaching them to be betrayed. You've taught me well, but sometimes there is more to learn from children than from the wisest of men. I must do as my heart tells me. And makes an appearance at the United Nations building. We cannot live in fear. I cannot watch you stumble towards the madness of nuclear destruction. I am going to do what your governments have been unable to do. I am going to rid the Earth of all nuclear weapons. Next page is a full-page shot of Superman throwing dozens of nuclear missiles into the sun. Superman made good his promise to rid the world of nuclear weapons this morning when he ordered US and Soviet officials to begin launching their weapons into space. He is gathering the missiles in space and catapulting them into the sun. Some scientists are concerned that the explosions may have a long-range effect on weather. But to quote a viewer, who cares if it rains little more? There'll be no more A-bombs. Then Luthor, who has hair again. I always get confused when Luthor has hair in comics because I just can't get my head around that. Baldness, though, was very, very out of style in the 80s and wouldn't come back until Jean-Luc Picard on Star Trek The Next Generation. Essentially, Luthor has made a plan with some bad folks to plant a little bit of his clone juice inside one of the missiles so that when Superman launches that missile into the sun, it'll be solar and nuclear powered, and that clone will be more powerful than the last one that Superman defeated really easily. Superman does launch that missile into the sun. Quick-oom! Of course, Nuclear Man's only want is to destroy Superman. Nobody wants a war, however, I just like to keep the threat alive. He just doubled his size. He must have control over his entire atomic structure. Fight all over the world, so all the way from Metropolis, they end up at the Great Wall of China where the Nuclear Man starts taking it apart piece by piece because he's basically just destruction. Then all of a sudden we are back in New York a few pages later. The Nuclear Man's hands start glowing. He knocks over the Statue of Liberty. No, not the statue. I've got you, Lady Liberty. With superhuman effort, the Man of Steel delicately balances the treasured symbol of liberty, failing to notice the Nuclear Man's swift attack. And I get you, Superman! Ah! At this point, Superman puts the Statue of Liberty back in its place and falls over as Nuclear Man kicks Superman into space. And here's a new headline. Is Superman dead? Man of Steel disappears after aerial battle. Lois has a fairly background position in this story. She's really not moving much of anything. Of course, Nuclear Man develops a crush on Lacey Warfield because that's why she's there in Luthor's lair. Look, I'll forget about the money. We can get more. We've got the world right where we want it, sitting on their bomb buttons, watching the skies, ready to launch missiles at the first blip on their radar screens. You will be my queen. Never! Slap! But first, I have fun. I like how sort of monosyllabic Nuclear Man is. Using his amazing powers, the Nuclear Man changes his form into the ultimate nightmare, a living nuclear bomb. And he launches himself up into space. The American side and the Russian side see that missile and they're very confused about what's going on there. And then Superman shows up in Luthor's lair and takes Lacey Warfield off to meet this missile. I'll need your help, Miss Warfield. As for you, Luthor, I'll deal with you later. And they fly towards the Nuclear Man above the Atlantic Ocean. After Nuclear Man sees Superman and Ms. Warfield, he demissiles and starts chasing Superman down into Metropolis. Then Superman tricks the Nuclear Man into a darkened surface elevator where he traps him and tries to fly him into space. Nuclear Man escapes, there's fight. Nuclear Man flies all the way back to Earth and finds Lacey Warfield. Come! It is time for you to be my queen. No! What? What is happening? An eclipse! It's got to be the work of Superman! Superman has caused an eclipse, and hopefully without disrupting the entire tidal flow thing on Earth that the moon's responsible for. I don't know how logic works, everyone. It's just There's a lot going on. In here, his unstable structure will dissolve, ashes to ashes, atoms to atoms. And across Metropolis, the city lights surge with new vigor. Of course, Superman is able to catch Lex Luthor and his nephew. They get sent away, and we cut back to the Daily Planet. Come to clean out your office, Warfield? Out of my way, Wyatt. Have you lost control of your senses? No, but you've lost control of the Daily Planet. I've convinced the banks of Metropolis to help me buy up a controlling share of the planet's stock. Now you're the minority stockholder, and I'm telling you to stay out of my office. And don't call me Chief. Superman appears again at the United Nations. I thought I could give us all freedom from war, but I was wrong. It is not mine to give. We can only live together as one world if all the governments of the world and all the people of the world really want to. I've asked Jeremy to help me explain to you how I see the world, how we should all see our world. Go ahead, Jeremy, you're hooked into all the major news services around the world. I see the weather and the ocean currents and the mountains and the rivers, but I can't see the borders between the countries. It's all one world. And when we all see it that way, then there will be no more war. I'm not sure how to feel about this one. Obviously, in 1987, we were still in the throes of mutually assured destruction. And having a superhero just literally evenly destroy the missiles is kind of wish fulfillment. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts in this one. There's a lot of characters that seem to be invented for the purpose of not using the characters that we know already. I don't have a ton to say about this one, folks. It's got a lot of silly going on, and I appreciate that. Maybe we should all just be like little Jeremy, not seeing borders between countries. I kind of like that. That's my look at Superman 4, The Quest for Peace adaptation. I've never seen the movie. If you want to check out some factoids about that, there's a fun Minty video, which I'll be linking down in the comments. And once again, thank you for joining us on Tales of Gen X Terror. We will see you when the other shoe drops.